Well, good afternoon to everybody here gathered in the Council Chamber at Harrogate Civic Centre and anybody who may well be joining us online for the live streaming of this meeting. My name is Councillor Chris Aldred and I'm the Chair of the Harrogate and Knaresborough Area Planning Committee. Please can anybody situated in the public gallery confirm you can hear me? Nodding heads, that's good. Sorry we can't provide you with trees and ghostly apparitions this afternoon. We did at our last meeting, but slightly less people in there this afternoon. The meeting, as I've already said, is being streamed live on YouTube so that the public can view and listen to the meeting remotely. And in the interests of openness and transparency, I must also make you aware that it's been recorded and will be available to view on North Yorkshire Council's website. If you have got a mobile phone, can you please switch it to silent or off, please? For the public, the toilets are through the door to your right and then on the right-hand side. There's no scheduled fire alarm, so if it does go off, we will leave and follow the nearest green man sign. Members, officers and public speakers using the microphones in the chamber, please make sure your mic is close to your mouth and you speak clear and loudly. The officers in attendance today to support the meeting are, to my left, Katrina Gattrell, who is the Head of Legal. To my right, on my immediate right, Stuart Mills, who is a Development Manager and Team Manager in the Planning section of the Council. Presenting the report today will be another Development Manager, who is Kate Broadbank at my extreme right there. And we also with us David Smith, our Senior Democratic Services Officer, and Dawn Jury, who will be taking the minutes of this meeting. Before I move to the agenda, I should remind everyone that this meeting is being streamed live, publicly, and therefore is accessible to a wide audience in accordance with the usual practice at public meetings. I look forward to a respectful debate between members. And our first item on the agenda is apologies, so we'll go over to Dawn.
Thank you very much indeed, Chairman. We've received apologies for absence from Councillor Lacey, and Councillor Andrew Timothy is acting as his substitute.
Welcome, Andrew. And declarations of interest. Has any committee members have any disclosures of interest on this one item agenda? Again, shaking heads. So we will go on to the main item of business, which is land west of Harrogate West Business Park, situated on Burleybank Road, Harrogate HG3 2SE. And I'm trusting members have all read the report, but we will ask Kate to briefly go through it and summarise and indeed add information that has come in since the report was written.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon. So this is an application for 10 industrial units with ancillary offices, yard space, parking, servicing, drainage infrastructure, an electricity substation, landscaping, associated infrastructure, engineering works to create a landscape bund and solar panels. So the site is adjacent to the existing Harrogate West Business Park on Penny Pot Lane. It's opposite the Foundation College with a small enclave of dwellings and the Pine Moor Caravan Park located to the north. It's a location plan. The access will be taken from the access to the existing business park, which connects to Burleybank Road to the east. There are mature trees along the southern and northern boundaries and within the site, including some veteran trees. The site is in flood zone 1. The proposed units will range from 3,300 square feet to 31,300 square feet, providing a range of options. One of the buildings will be occupied by Envirovent, which is currently on the existing park, and the others are for new or relocating businesses. The site does lie outside development limits of Harrogate, and therefore there is a conflict with local plan employment policies due to the scale of the proposed development in the countryside. However, the Council's Economic Development team advised there's a major shortage of suitable light industrial and industrial accommodation for new and growing businesses across the area, and that there's immediate need. The units at the adjacent site are all leased, and there's a significant interest and demand for the new units. The MPPF advises that significant weight should be placed on the need to support economic growth and productivity, and the proposed units will help attract and stimulate economic growth. And whilst the conflicts with the local plan policies are acknowledged, as set out in the report, on balance, officers consider that significant weight should be given to the benefits that the new employment units will bring to the area, and that this outweighs conflict with the local plan employment policies. This plan shows the site layout, with the access coming from the adjacent site and the units accessed off this spine road. An attenuation pond for surface water drainage is proposed in the southeast corner, and foul drainage will drain to the existing main sewer. This plan shows the landscaping, and whilst at a small scale, shows the proposed woodland planting around the edges of the site. Existing trees and hedges along the boundaries are retained, with a woodland belt along the western and northern boundaries, helping to screen the site and provide biodiversity enhancements. A bund was originally proposed along the western edge. This was objected to by our landscape officer and has been replaced with a woodland tree belt, which is considered to provide more natural screening along the edge of the site. The buildings are a range of heights and sizes, with the majority being 7.3 metres high and Unit 10 being 10.2 metres to the ridge. These slides show the elevations. The buildings will be constructed on a brick plinth with grey wall and roof cladding, solar panels on the roofs, air source heat pumps, and a condition is proposed requiring construction to achieve BREEAM excellent standards. Biodiversity net gain enhancements are provided on land to the northeast of the site and achieve the mandatory net gain for area habitats and hedgerows. To achieve a net gain for watercourses, credits will need to be purchased from a habitat bank or via national credits. The Council's ecology officers are happy with the proposal subject to conditions and Section 106. This is the floor plans, just general floor plans. Just a number of photos. This is looking across the site. This is from the access point in the existing site, looking across where the access point will be taken. Looking across to the caravan site. This is taken from Pennypot Lane. And then another looking across the site towards the existing buildings. In terms of update, there's a slight amendment to condition 25 to add in the words that are shown in red on the slide relating to flow rate. There's also an update to the plans listed in condition 2, with the site plan version being amended just to include bicycle and motorcycle numbers, and the access to units 7 to 10 has been adjusted following some highways comments. The application is recommended for approval, subject to the conditions listed in the report and completion of a Section 106 agreement relating to securing biodiversity net gain and highways contributions. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. So, members, questions to the officer. Can I just remind you, under the new regulations of the committees throughout North Yorkshire, we are only allowed to ask questions to the officer, not to any of the public speakers. So this is your chance to ask questions to Kate, and I'm going to take Councillor Haslam first.
Thank you, Chair, and I would like this particular point minuted. I'd like to congratulate Emma and, of course, probably Kate, that purpose of the report 1.2, the application is brought to planning due to a recommendation approval of the development is in conflict with the local plan. I think this should always be the case, that if officers are recommending something that is not part of the local plan, then they should come to us for support on their decision. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Timothy.
Thank you, Chair. I was looking through the proposed conditions when I was looking through the papers for this meeting, and conditions 7 through 11 broadly refer to the transport to and from the site. I did spot that that there was a comment from the parish council, who I assume may have sent a representative, which we'll hear from soon, to say that to ask that there is a right turn only to leave the site onto to manage the traffic flow. Is that something that we could ask for a little bit later on?
Yeah, so that is included. Highways requested a traffic regulation order to ensure that any HGVs turning out of the site would turn right and that are not left to us, so that is included.
Yeah, that's in the part of for what's going into the Section 106 agreement. So it's referenced in there rather than in the conditions because it provided through that because it requires a contribution towards that.
Thank you.
Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Chair. I understand it's not in the local plan, but nonetheless, I understand that there are no objections from the parish council, and I understand it's also not in the green belt. Could you confirm those 2 points, please? Thank you.
Yeah, it's not in the green belt. The green belt runs to the south of Harrogate and between Harrogate and Knaresborough, so it's not in the green belt area. And the comments from the parish council were neither objecting nor supporting, and just made a comment about the right turn that was just mentioned previously.
Councillor Goslow.
Thank you. In terms of sustainable drainage, can I ask whether permeable materials are being used on the site, on the ground, and whether grey water recycling is being used in the scheme?
Just bear with us a moment. The officer who has been dealing with the application is off sick, and so we're standing and we'll try and find the information. In terms of the surface water drainage, it will be draining to the attenuation pond that's on the site, so obviously that's sustainable drainage in that respect. I'm not entirely sure about paving, to be honest with you. We're just checking whether it's part of any of the conditions. They will have to provide details in terms of the layout, in terms of the footway and the access within the site. The materials do tend to form part of those conditions. So
We will continue to check
We
that,
will check and
Councillor
come back.
Goslow, and get back to you, hopefully, in the next few minutes. Councillor Haslam.
Yeah, I was very interested and impressed that this whole site has solar PV. So I'm assuming that the building is strong enough to sustain solar PV. But my question really revolves around how is that energy going to be used? Is it going to be used on each individual unit, or is it some form of sort of energy group where the energy could be either used locally or sold on, for example, to the Army College, etc., and therefore reduce their energy costs? So I'm just asking what that electricity is going to be used for, please, if we know.
we'll just have a look at the energy statement. Normally, it's used by the buildings, the businesses themselves.
Big roofs, isn't there? I don't know if it would help if we could, the applicant is obviously in the room, maybe we could get them to address that point in their presentation. I think I'm getting a nod there, so that would be useful. Thank you very much indeed. As the officers have said, the actual officer who wrote the report is off sick today, so we are stepping in. Councillor Gosler.
Linked to that, it'd be good to understand how many EV chargers are being put in. There's quite a high number of car parking spaces, although it mentions a bus route. I'm not sure that this is entirely sustainable due to time to commute to nearest residential area. So I'd like to understand how they're supporting electric vehicles.
I think, again, if the applicant could pick that up in their speech, that would be good, thank you. There will be a requirement for EV chargers on the site. We can have a look at the site plan and check how many there are. But that is also something that could be conditioned if there was a certain percentage that was the committee felt would be necessary.
Councillor Broadbank.
It's on the bus service proposal. I noticed there's 100,000 mentioned I presume the bus company to support the development. How long does that go on for? And can you give me a little bit more detail about how that would work out? What they'll basically be doing for that 100,000?
So the table in the report, the end of the report sets out all the 106 contributions. We're just finding the detail of it now,
Just a little bit more information on the bus route, which, having worked at the Army Foundation College, I can fill a little bit in. Obviously, that is there. That is a very well-used route throughout the day. So I would suspect as long as the Army Foundation College is there, and we have no reason to believe it won't be there for a considerable amount of time, that bus route will continue. In fact, it might improve.
They're obviously doing some works to the roundabout, the crossing at the roundabout. But what else are they being required to do for the 100,000?
So that £100,000 is split. So there'll be 50,000 on first occupation and then 50,000 on full occupation, and that will go to highways and our passenger transport area of the council to support the bus service and improve the bus service in terms of its frequency, etc.
Yeah, it's the number 4 bus service that goes from Harrogate town centre to King Edwin Park. It goes down Ripon Road, then along Skipton Road to the Curious Cow, and then comes south, and it goes into the new estate at King Edwin Park. And it actually also goes in front of the Army Foundation College and turns round, so it does come quite close to this site there. And the current timetable, it's sort of generally every hour during the day at the minute on Mondays to Fridays. It sort of stops in the early evening. Saturdays as well. It's generally speaking, it's every hour as well on the half hour from the middle of Harrogate.
Sorry, the 100,000 obviously won't last forever. So how long is it thought it's going to go on for?
Presumably till it runs out, Philip.
Yeah, I mean, the money goes to passenger transport and then they use that to help fund the bus services. I mean, obviously, there isn't a set period of time that it would be that we can say, unfortunately.
I just wondered how you got to the figure of 100,000. I thought there must be some way of working it out, but 100,000, okay.
Yeah, the annual running cost is about 260,000. So it's a contribution towards part of that, but obviously it's a service that is been run. There's obviously been contributions from other sites.
And obviously, if there's more people going up, I would have thought the bus company may well look to improve there, and maybe coming from other areas as well. Anyway, we can't guess the operations of various bus companies, but there is money there is the important point. Further questions from members to the officers? Councillor Haslam.
I've double checked, but is it purely going to be electric and there's no gas to this site? For clarity? They have said they're using heat source pumps to heat the units.
To be honest, I have no idea whether there's gas up at that site there. There's a shake of the head behind, so I'm assuming there is no gas and it will all be electric, yes.
Thank you. Any further questions to the officers?
So just one more. On the question of supply of the type of units, is it more specifically to the former Harrogate district, rather than general North Yorkshire wise? Is this very specific thing for around here, is it, that we're not provided properly or enough?
Well, there's a a demand across the whole of the county, and obviously I think a significant demand in this area because it is a focus for, it's one of the main urban areas in the county and is a focus for new housing growth, etc. So we are advised by our economic development colleagues that there is a significant lack of supply, and this will help to improve the economic offerings in the district. So yes, we can't say where the companies will come from, but there's been, from the evidence that's been submitted with the application, there's a lot of demand from companies that are local, but we can't control that, obviously.
So last call for questions. No, I think we've asked all of those, and hopefully the applicant will be able to give us a little bit more detail on some of those issues raised by councillors. We now move on to public speakers, of which we've got 2 this afternoon. One to object to the applicant's application, and the applicant on behalf of the applicant. Each speaker has a time 5 minutes to put their case forward. As we get towards the end of the 5 minutes, Dawn will hold 2 signs up. Here we go, this is the exciting bit. To inform you when you have 30 seconds and then 10 seconds left. And we will have to be strict on this. So once those 5 minutes are over, we'll be asking you to stop speaking, please. So can I welcome, first of all, Mr. Christopher Dunn, who is going to speak as an objector to this proposal. I think Councillor Timothy maybe thought you were speaking on behalf of the Parish Council, Mr. Dunn, but I believe you're here in a personal capacity today.
Yes, yes, Chair. I am citizen only of Harrogate, and this is the only hat I'm wearing today. It's a citizen's hat of Harrogate.
Lovely. Okay, well, you have 5 minutes, Mr. Dunn.
Okay, Harrogate West Business Park is in Killinghall. Please remember that. Killinghall is full. It's full up. Reference the planning application which you've already got. I object to is totally ignores provision in the existing local plan 2014 to 2035. Also, many extra sites, development sites, have been allocated under housing commitments in Killinghall, all developed. So there's no more development sites available. Also, local plan map 1144 and 1133 shows development limits in red. That's the boundary to which any development, whether it be business or housing, should restrain themselves or contain themselves. Committed housing sites. I know this is not business, however, H73, H72, H71, H56, H33 have already breached the local plan boundary, perhaps a total of 1,500 houses. And yet, that's not enough. At the Watling Grange site, which is near the Curious Cow, that's been perhaps another 300 houses will go there. So a total of perhaps 1,800 houses on top of what's already gone into Killinghall, in the village of Killinghall, that's extra beyond the local plan commitments. Killinghall is full, sir. With regard to Harrogate West Business Park, Phase 1 has already been built. Phase 2, now applied for, will add yet another puncture of the local plan, and it's a satellite development. It's not even in the sort of boundary of other stuff. Existing business parks. We've got Lund Lane, which I think is called Levens Hall, something, business park, Killinghall Stone Quarry, Harrogate West Business Park, and an ex-housing site in Killinghall on Crag Lane. That's another business park. That's 4 business parks. Just how many more are we supposed to take? Plus, also in Killinghall, there are minor business parks, which are ex-farm sites, which have been, industry or business have been added to the site. So surely that's enough. Killinghall can't take any more. There's been no improvement since, as far as I can see, since the local plan was envisioned in 2014 in infrastructure, especially with regards to cycling, footpaths and pedestrians. Buses are still very, very, very poor, and the recent planning committee decided that the proposed bus route or bus-only route through King Edwin Park shouldn't happen. So it's that the bus route could have picked up or be a useful addition to the site as proposed. Pennypot Lane, B6161 Otley Road, Bury Bank Road are all totally car-friendly, HGV-friendly, and totally unsuitable for cyclists or pedestrians. Oak Beck, you may say, what's that got to do with things? Oak Beck is the drainage beck for the site, because all West Harrogate, Northwest Harrogate, and this site all will eventually end up in Oak Beck. It's full and it's polluted. Cycling in this area is totally impossible, absolutely impossible. And I speak as an avid cyclist and pedestrian. And I think I can say no more, except it's full, sir. Please don't hammer Killinghall anymore. It can't take it, especially without improvements to infrastructure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dunn. And thank you for being so concise. I'm sure Dawn is disappointed with the cards didn't get to play there, but maybe they will in a few minutes. So we're going to ask the applicant, Dan Martin, or on behalf of the applicant. I'm sure you will explain, Mr. Martin. And the same rules apply. You have 5 minutes and we'll show you the cards as the time comes up to those 5 minutes. And if you could address some of the points that have already been made by councillors, that would be great. I think the one we haven't really picked up is Councillor Goslow's question about the matting or the drainage, etc. But your 5 minutes, Mr. Martin.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Daniel Martin. I'm a director of Teakwood Developments, one of the joint applicants. We built Harrogate West Business Park in 2023, and it's performed better than we ever expected. It was fully occupied shortly after practical completion, and subsequently, voids have been very minimal. The units we built are starter units and grow-on space to provide for new businesses and established but small enterprises looking to make the next step up. Typically, some flounder and some flourish. Those that flounder release the space for the new crop of entrepreneurs. Those that flourish expand and move into larger units. Fortunately, we've only had one business failure, and we have 3 existing tenants who are looking to move into a larger accommodation, which they can't find. It's a logjam, which is exacerbated by external demand from the wider Harrogate district, and I think you've all seen the letters of support from various occupiers. With this application, we're hoping to at least partially address the supply-demand imbalance. It's a full application, 10 units, as you've heard, 3 to 31,000 feet, and will form effectively Harrogate West Phase 2. The power supply, the highway access, the sewerage are already in place, so with the consent, we're ready to proceed. These units will unlock the pent-up demand we have locally and attract inward investment, helping to protect, grow and diversify our economic base. We've presented significant evidence of a current undersupply of employment sites. Your own Economic Development Officer has confirmed a shortage of existing stock and no real opportunity for the development of similar units to those proposed by this development. The provision of this type of space has to be central to our aspirations for economic growth. Harrogate West Business Park Phase 1 demonstrates the quality of space that we provide, and the speed of take-up proves the location is of interest to occupiers. Phase 2 will secure a significant investment. It will create a large number of new jobs and generate business rates for the council of around £750,000 a year. It aligns with the aims of the NPPF, ensuring that existing firms have the opportunity to expand and adapt, and offers a clear strategic fit with the ambitions of the economic strategy for North Yorkshire by enabling sustainable economic growth. We work closely with your landscape officer with regards to visual amenity to ensure the units are well contained within the site to ensure no detriment to landscape setting. Neither your landscape officer nor the Nidderdale National Park landscape officer have raised objections to the proposal. The Council's Environmental Health Officer has commented that the plans and the noise impact assessment address any noise breakout concerns, and we accept that the proposed conditions relating to provision of an acoustic barrier, restriction on HGV movements, noise limits for plant and machinery, submission of a noise management plan and a demolition and construction management plan, and limitation to the working hours during construction. We've been conscious throughout the application process of the need to address biodiversity net gain, highways and drainage comments. And again, after working closely with your officers, there are no objections to this application. Your officers have deliberated on our proposal and, taking all matters into consideration, have concluded that the proposal represents an appropriate form of development given the obvious benefits. I hope that these conclusions will carry significant weight in favour of the application. Furthermore, I very much hope that the recommendations of the planning officer are upheld and planning permission is granted for this proposal. So, shall I now address the various items?
Why not?
First one, EV. Yes, solar panels, I think was first. Yes, there'll be solar panels. The power will go straight into the units for use by the people who are within the units, basically. We could look at batteries and we could look at exporting it. It's just not worth it. You're better off putting on the panels that are necessary to supply that unit. If that changes, then we would add further as necessary. EV chargers, there was a question about what number. When we built the Envirovent unit, that number was at 10%. So we put in 120 car parking spaces and 12 EV chargers. We would have preferred to put in a different type of EV charger, but it's specified by regulations to what we put in. We'd have preferred to put in ones that were rechargeable, so that they can recharge for the power. So you can give it for free to customers, but not to work employees. The third one, there is no permeable at the moment. It goes straight through the balancing pond.
Thank you very much indeed for, especially with those additions there, Mr. Martin.
Thank you.
Okay, councillors, so we now move into debate on the application. Who wants to kick us off? I think Councillor Manders.
Thank you, Chair. I heard what Mr. Dunn very eloquently said about Killinghall being full and all the extra housing being built in Killinghall. I also understand that the site is not in the local plan and that the application conflicts with some local plan policies. But at the same time, I think you have to take things on a balanced approach. I think we do need more light industrial and industrial sites, and we've heard from the officer that there's a major shortage of light industrial and industrial sites, not only in Harrogate, but in the wider hinterland, in further into North Yorkshire. We've also heard from the economic officer at the council via his report that there's a need to support economic growth, and we need to import jobs into the county. And we heard in a recent presentation, I think on one of our member seminars, I think it was a few months ago, that in order to build over 4,000 homes per year as per our requirement from the government, we need to import into North Yorkshire or create over the local plan period, that's the next 20 years, we need to import or create around 95,000 extra jobs. Otherwise, we can't sell the houses which the builders are building. So I do think that this economic growth, which is being caused by these extra 10 units, and I think they've been designed very well. I noted that the units vary from 3,000 feet, which is quite small for an industrial unit, up to a huge 31,000 feet. So I think that's an excellent idea to have a whole variety of different sized industrial units. So on balance, and to sum up, Chair, I would say, although I recognise what Mr. Dunn has said, and I recognise that the development is outside of the development limits of Harrogate. I think we heard that as well. I do think there's a very good case to be made for supporting this development. We need economic growth, we need jobs, and I fully support the recommendation in this report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Mann. Councillor Haslam.
Thank you, Chair. I think there's, on balance, there's a lot of positive for this particular development. However, Mr. Dunn referred to Oak Beck. Oak Beck is a critical artery, although it's a beck, not a river. And so I think the attenuation is vital, but also you get combined, because we're an old town, we've still got combined sewage outflow. When you get, so without that attenuation, it's critical. It can impact on the beck, and that then comes round to close to Bilton area. So I know the impacts of that. So I do think that I don't know, the officers would guide us on this perhaps, but I think we need to make sure that, I hate to say this, but all the plumbing's correct, that everything's plumbed into the appropriate sewer, etc. So surface water goes into surface water, etc. So that, because Oak Beck is a continual challenge for Yorkshire Water. So that would be my first point. The second point is, I'm getting the impression that the amount of solar deployed on the roofs might be dependent on what is expected in the terms of energy use. I again would like to get the advice of the officers, is because I'd like to see the amount of space that can be used for solar to be maximised, and that perhaps there's an energy generation opportunity. At the moment, it's quite clear that we need to be using renewables on industrial estates and not on farmers' fields. And then the last 2 points that I'll probably leave them with Hannah, but the EV needs to be just double checked, and also consideration to permeable to reduce any surface water flooding. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Haslam. I don't know if the officers want to come back on any of those points raised.
Yeah, there's condition 19 deals with surface water details, so that requires the details for surface water to be agreed in writing before that's done. There's also conditions as well about drainage and flood risk as well on there.
Okay. Any other councillor? Go on, Councillor Haslam. Seeing you're in flow.
You've not addressed my issue on solar panels.
So we don't have a policy at the moment that requires a certain amount of renewables to be provided. So there's no policy requirement. There's a policy requirement to provide them, but there's not a policy requirement for a certain amount. So we can't request that the applicant provides a certain amount in terms you were suggesting it's maximised. The only thing we can do is, obviously they are providing them, that's policy compliant, but we can't control how much they put on and where that electricity goes. But as the applicant said, it's going into those particular buildings, so those buildings will hopefully be as sustainable as possible in terms of their operation. That's as far as we can go at the moment in terms of our policies.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just come back? I mean, this is outside the local plan, so it's already outside policies. So that's why I asked the question. So, we breach policy on one side, but not on the other side. I'd like to understand the consistency, or perhaps lack of it.
So in terms of the local plan is extant, it exists, the policies are all there. The only policies that are out of date are the housing supply ones. All the other policies, including the employment policies and the climate change policies, under which the renewables come under, are all in date and extant, so they all do apply. The thing that's different with this site is that obviously it's outside development limits, and our employment land policies only support sort of small scale development outside development limits. So that's where the conflict lies. There isn't a conflict with the rest of the local plan.
Chair, May I suggest that we ask the developers very nicely if they would maximise the amount of solar panels available? I believe there's someone in the room that might be able to do that. I just think that it would be a great PR coup should this actually get assent today. I don't know if it will yet, but if it did, I think it would be quite appropriate. Thank you.
Go on. We'll let you address that point, Mr. Martin, seeing as it has been asked. Right. Okay. That was a direct question, and you've got an answer, Councillor Haslam. Thank you, Mr. Martin. That probably didn't come on the recording, so we'll just say the applicant said yes, we can do as Councillor Haslam suggested. Okay, I'm going to go to Councillor Goslow.
Thank you. I was going to ask about the EV chargers because I felt that and the solar panel, the link there, because I felt that comes under sustainable operations of the business park itself, but that's been answered. In terms of a condition to require more EV chargers to make the site more sustainable for travel, can I ask what would be appropriate there, following on from the remarks by my colleagues?
We're not really in questions at the moment, but I will allow that. Basically because we don't have the officers who wrote the report or the manager with us.
We're just having a look to see if it's covered by any of the conditions at the moment. Because EV chargers are actually a building regulations requirement, we do not tend to put specific conditions on anymore in relation to that, but we have in the past required an electrical vehicle charging plan to be submitted, so that is an option.
I think in terms of the travel plan for the site and it not having a rail station nearby and being a lot of it may be reliant on car travel, I think that would be my reasoning for that. And whether can we condition on permeable materials at all or grey water recycling?
So condition 30 deals with landscaping plan, and it does ask in there for full details of the treatment and management of all parts of the site not covered by buildings, and then accompanying that there's an informative in the list of informatives, which is informative 7, which is basically incorporating some advice from the landscape officer with the sorts of details they would want in relation to dealing with condition 30, and it does in there reference in terms of hard landscaping specifications, including permeable paving, integration with sustainable urban drainage systems, amongst other things as well. So we've asked if that can be included in the details which have got to be discharged under that condition.
Can I ask whether permeable paving is for the car parks as well as the pedestrian areas?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I would remind councillors we are in debate rather than questions, but have we got any other councillor who wishes to contribute? Councillor Mann again.
I don't know if this is premature, Chair, but I'd like to propose a motion, if I may, or did you want me to wait a bit longer?
I'll just give councillors who haven't spoken the opportunity to comment or make their views known, if they so wish. Obviously, there's no obligation to. Councillor Broadbent looks like he might be doing that very thing.
Thank you, Chairman. I have to say I was disappointed that the parish council neither objected nor supported the application, and it's good to have some guidance from sometimes from local parish councils, but clearly they didn't want to give guidance on this one, basically leaving it to planning office and the committee. I think this is a case of borderline. Might be good, might not be case, and I think on balance, it is an on balance. I would be in favour of I would support the application. I think it's something that would serve a need, and certainly there is clearly demand from local businesses as well. I think that's evident. And I think we should be looking at, with all the housing development going on, you have to look at job creation as well as part of that. And I think that's something that we should take into account.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Broadbank. Last chance for councillors to contribute. We know that Councillor Mann wants to make a proposal. Don't see anybody else wishing to join the debate. So, Councillor Mann, would you like to propose?
Yeah, apologies for being premature there. I just wanted to make a motion which supports the recommendation in the officer's report, with the addition, which we've agreed and discussed, the addition of the maximum use being made of solar panels on the roofs of the units. I can't think of anything else that we've agreed to include. So that's the motion, Chair.
Okay.
Do you want me to I'll formally second that, Chairman.
Formally second. I think we just have a query from...
Did you want to include the condition for the electric vehicle charging points as an amendment to it? Okay.
A vigorous nod from Councillor Gosling there.
Yes.
Okay, so there's two conditions we're asking to be included. Have we got that? Have we covered that?
Yes, Chairman, and I think there was just obviously the amendment that was highlighted to one of the conditions as part of your update as well.
Yes, of course. Okay, so that is the proposal, councillors. So we're going to ask for all... we're all clear of what the conditions are, yeah? Excellent. So all in favour of that proposal which has been seconded? And we don't have to go any further because it's unanimous. So thank you for that, guys. It is a bit... it's always a balancing act when we're doing the committees, but obviously economic development is important and jobs are very, very important as well. So we've passed it now. Okay, that's great. So there's no other items of the agenda, so I can just remind people that the next meeting is on Tuesday the 16th of December at 2 o'clock, and I declare the meeting closed.